Hey guys, it's me, Kelly. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to talk about all the books that I've read in the month of December. Now, December was a pretty average month. I did get some reading done, but not all of my TBR, of course. I feel like I never read all the books on my TBR, but that's a goal of mine, to one month finish all the books that are put on that TBR list, the monthly TBR. But we did read some. We read a mixture of genres, and there's a few books that we did not get to as well. So let's talk about some book stats. Alright, so I read a total of 4 books. I had 6 books on my TBR, 1 book I'm currently reading, 2 books I did not get to, and 1 from a previous month's TBR, which I'm talking about November. And out of the 4 books that I did read, I had 2 general fiction books, or I guess one's like historical fiction, one's general fiction. I had a YA fantasy or dystopian book, and then I also had a manga. So out of the 4, that's a little bit of the bookish stats. Before we get into the books that I did read, there are 2 books that I did not get to this month, and hopefully at some point in 2026 I read them. Because one of them I really want to, because I want to continue that series. The other, I just really want to read this author's work. The first book I did not get to in December was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is a YA coming of age tale of fanfiction, family, and first love. I don't know if because I'm getting older, I'm not leaning towards YA fiction stuff anymore, if I'm just like growing out of it, but I do really want to read Rainbow Rowell's work, so I want to read it before I get too old and like uninterested in it, but I just didn't seem to want to pick this up this month. And book number 2 that I did not get to is Throne of Secrets by Carrie Maniscalco. This was on and off of my TBRs throughout the whole year of 2025. I really want to continue this series because I do appreciate Carrie Maniscalco's writing. I think the biggest thing for me is the size of the book, and I just need to make sure I have a lot of time to read it. So I think that's, I gotta like plan like a day in the summer where I have nothing going on just to like read this book or just binge this book, because it is pretty big. It's like 500 pages, so I think that's the one drawback that I had with this. I do want to continue the series. I know she has the 3rd book of this series coming out soon, so I want to feel caught up because I enjoy her writing. She's one of my favorite authors, so hopefully 2026 will be the year I read this. Alright, let's talk about all the books that I did get to in the month of December. The first book that I read in December was Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. This is about a older woman named Britt Marie who kind of has a shift in her life where she goes to the small town, kind of like this small town, like kind of like a drive-through town, I think of. Like, not a lot of people live there, it's very small, but she stops there and gets a job in that town and starts to build kind of a community of people through coaching soccer. And I'm trying to remember like some of the points in this because I did like read it at the beginning of the month, so it was like a month ago, but I'm trying to remember. Britt Marie is awkward, she's stubborn, but as you get to know her throughout the story, you get to find that you really might connect with her in some ways, or like I like grew to love her and who she was because I got to know her. It took me the book to get to know her, and I love her and appreciate her. I loved watching her find her place and like the people that she really care about show the same care as she did with them, so that was really fun to watch her grow. I will say this book was very character driven, or like lots of character development for sure. And I think this is just like a classic Bachman emotional story. Like he perfected that type of writing. So I rated this a 4.25. I love Frederick Bachman's writing. He is probably one of my favorite authors, and I'm super excited to continue reading more of his books. especially Beartown, which is on my 2026 TBR. So loved this book to start off the month. The next book I read was Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This is book number 2 in the Hunger Games series. And if you don't know, this is my first time reading the Hunger Games series. So I was super excited to jump right back into the world of all 12 districts and getting back into the mind of Katniss Everdeen, because I loved her in the first book, and especially since the first book kind of ended off on a cliffhanger, I was like, I need to pick up this book and like continue it. This book is definitely full of tension and emotions, and it's a lot of twists and turns that you weren't expecting as a first time reader of this series. I definitely was not expecting this plot. I also think this is a great in the middle book, as it is book number 2 in a trilogy, because it sets you up for the next book, which is Mockingjay, which I have been on the hunt for thrifting, and I cannot wait to read that and finish up this trilogy. So I've been loving this series. I only have seen the first movie now, so I need to watch Catching Fire. I know I told myself I was going to right after I finish this, but I have yet to do so, so I need to watch that. And I did rate this a 4.25 as well, so I'm excited to continue the series this year. Book number 3 that I finished was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Now this book was actually on my November TBR, but I was unable to read it during that month, so I kind of brought it over from that TBR and decided that I was going to read it throughout the month of December and really take my time with it, because it is a very thick book. It is how many pages? More than 500 pages. Really wanted to take my time. Now, if you're anything of an idea of what Kristen Hanna writes, she writes historical fiction, but not just historical fiction. It is an emotional, character-driven, historical type fiction, okay? I want to say most of her stories portray women in history, because I believe her newest release, The Woman, is about a woman during the Vietnam War. And this is about 2 sisters in World War II when the Nazi invasion happened. So I think that's like her niche, her thing, is what she writes about, is telling women's stories from historical events. And she does such a good job. Literally, reading this felt like a movie. I can't stop recommending this to my mom. I'm like, Mom, you would love this book. This is so good. And I can't believe that this is not a movie yet. Like, it's in production. Like, it should be out in 2027. But it's like, this is so good. It felt like a movie in my head. I will say, towards the end, I did cry. So there's a little FYI. This is very emotional. It also just feels like very heavy when reading it, because of the talks of World War II and what was going on and what were happening to people during that time and during that war. It just felt very like surreal to realize that this is not fiction. This is literally a historical event that actually happened in, not in my lifetime, but in our world. So I definitely felt like very heavy when reading this, so that's why I wanted to take my time with it and not just like put all this like dark emotional book into my brain. But again, I absolutely loved her writing. It was so easy to read and understand and digest everything that was going on. Going into it, I did not think I was going to enjoy it that much. I'm not the biggest fan of historical fiction. I'm not the biggest fan of like wars and like reading about wars, but this I recommend. I highly recommend it. Even if you're like, I don't think I'd like it, no, read it, because it's not just about that. It's about like these 2 sisters and how their lives are so different from each other, but how like family, you need family during like a sad and like depressing time as World War II, obviously. So I rated this a 5-star, if you could not tell with me rambling about how much I recommend this book and loved this book so much, and I can't wait to read more by her. I definitely want to read The Woman. That's like the #1 book of 2025, basically, I think, or something like that. It's like the highest rated book or something like that. I do want to read that. I do have Firefly Lane as well, and a couple of other books behind me by her as well. So I want to read more of her work because I definitely enjoyed it. And the last and final book that I read in the month of December was Jujutsu Kaisen book #1 by Gigi Akutami. think I said that right on the first try. This is book number 1. It definitely made me want to rewatch the anime. I did watch the anime like a couple of years ago, but I don't remember how far I got, if it was just the first season or only a couple episodes. But like after reading this, I was like, oh, I remember watching this, because it goes hand in hand with the anime as well. So I wanted something short and sweet to kind of end off December with. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did rate it a 4-star. I'm excited to continue the series and hopefully get back into watching the anime because it's fun. Okay, so a little bit about Jujutsu Kaisen. In a world where cursed spirits feed on unexpecting humans, fragments of the legendary and feared demon Ryomen Sukuna have been lost and scattered about. Should any demon consume Sukuna's body parts, the power they gain could destroy the world as we know it. Fortunately, there exists a mysterious school of Jujutsu sorcerers who exist to protect the precarious existence of the living from the supernatural. So that's what this kid, Yuji Itadori, does, because he decides to eat something he shouldn't have, and he gets into this little school and this predicament basically. So great anime, great manga. Like it so far. And I don't have it with me, but I'm currently reading Red Rising by Pierce Brown. That was the other book on my December TBR, but I am kind of bringing it over into January, obviously, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's definitely a lot of brain power since it is a sci-fi book. And when I'm reading it, I really gotta like focus, because there's sometimes I had to like reread or like I have to look stuff up because I'm like, wait a minute, what? Huh? So I'm about, I want to say a little more than halfway through it, maybe even like 75% way through it. So that is my current read right now. And then I will get started with the January TBR after I finish that. So I thought I'd include that in this video because I'm currently reading it. It was from the December TBR, and kind of update you on that situation as well. Overall, I'm really happy about all the books that I read in the month of December. Here is a little overlay. I forget that I have to put this one kind of backwards because of the binding, but there's all 4 books that I read in the month of December. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe. I post videos once a week, whether it's bookish content like this, lifestyle, vlogs, kind of whatever I'm in the mood for. So if you like what you're seeing, you should go ahead and subscribe. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye!